for me, it's about creating that longevity for Wales national counties to be a real force. I want to win.
That's something that makes Wales very unique. We've got that added mantra of representing your country in the same breath. And I think we are 100% on the right track.
Brad Wadlin, Wales National Counties head coach and player.
Bazball or no Bazball?
Bazball.
Who should be opening the batting for England?
Yeah, bring Alistair Cook back and James Bracey.
That's not very Bazball.
I know. So our main focus really when we discussed about the trip in September time last year was we wanted to get a group of players together, get some warm weather training, just see some guys from the north that we haven't seen, but also to get away from the cold, wet weather back home. For me, as coach, it's more getting to see guys outside. We've done a lot of indoor skill work on bowling machines, and the indoor stuff is good to a point. And yeah, just for me, the North guys who obviously, it's a big ask for them to drive down on a Sunday morning at 8:30. So to be able to see those guys and work with those, I mean, Harrison Jones, Will Ryan, Jason Folks, they all played last year on merit, and they've got that experience. So for those guys, again, it's a great opportunity for us to see them and to spend a bit of time with them as well. I do think it's really, really important to be outside, get some sun. We can do a lot of good fielding things, and then to have a game situation, a 2-day inter-squad game will be really good. And it's actually to see people in game scenarios rather than in a net session for 25 minutes, half an hour. It just sees if they've got the capabilities of batting long periods or bowling good lengths for long periods. If you're in the team, we've got to bat 90 overs in our first innings in 3-day cricket. Batters have got to be able to bat long periods. And when I say bat long periods, it is very important that teams that are 2-3 down in the first session, it's a very difficult middle over, last session and middle session. So for me, we're looking at batters, their technique. Can they withstand good pressure, good bowling for long periods? Have they got the mindset to bat long? And if they have, then great. And ultimately, playing outside against good bowling with new balls is going to be a test for them. Like I said earlier, it's all good indoors, doing your machine work and your skill work. But it's when you get out in the middle, that's when you're on your own, and you've got to be able to withstand that. And just for the seamers is, can they hit repetitive line and length over and over and over, build up some pressure to certain fields that they set, and can they think on their feet? So if plan A is not working, can they go to plan B and have another plan to try and withstand that? And ultimately you learn those things by playing. Like when you're in those nets, people are trying to take your spot, so you've got to work really hard. You can have fun and joke around, but ultimately your cricket's got to be good enough.
Last year was a really good example of not being able to get out and get ready and hit the ground running, which I think any team at whatever level probably wants to do. So I think for us, the chance to get out here, the chance to hit some balls and dust down some of those cobwebs from the winter was a really good chance to do that. I think the flip side of that as well, and the added value you get from being away, the opportunity for us to see some players that we might not normally see at this time of year, where we've probably got 8 or 9 lads alongside 5 or 6 of our core group who probably wouldn't expect to be on a tour like this right now, which is not not kind of meant to dampen their spirits by any means, but they are, as I say, the next generation, and they will be knocking on the door, if not this year, but very shortly. So it's a really good chance for us to benchmark probably where they're at and confirm maybe a few things we've seen previous summers and previous winters, and a chance for us to see that, but as I say, a chance for them to show what they can do.
I want, in each station, I want us to make sure we're loosening the shoulders up first. We're not going instantly into long throws flat catching, throwing, I want us to make sure we're all loose, ready to go. So first 5 minutes is about making sure you're actively loose, ready to go. And then as soon as we've done that 5-6 minute period, I want us to go high intensity for the full 45 minutes. Okay, I want us to be really high. There's a lot of very, very good fielders in this group. Okay, and I actually want our levels to be really, really high. There's no reason with the outfield and how the facilities are and everything, there's no reason why they shouldn't be. So expectations are going to be really high.
Pretty much there's an active role wherever you are, depending on what's going on. So you're working in pairs, Teg, and Joe, you're first. One of you catch, one of you get it in. Okay.
Ultimately, to get in the squad, it's very simple. You've got to score runs and you've got to be taking wickets. I think it's now a team which is based on performance rather than given opportunity. I think in the previous years, it's been a case of, oh, he's got potential, let's get him in and expose him to this. Whereas maybe some of those players weren't good enough at that stage, where for me, I think you've got to find the balance, but ultimately you've got to have more players in the team that are good enough to perform rather than given opportunity. I think those opportunities will come based on performances. For me, it's about creating that longevity for Wales National Counties to be a real force. I want to win. But again, like the off-field stuff, so the going for team meals, having the team meetings, for me it's more about making sure the players feel confident and they feel comfortable talking to me, Cam, Matt about anything and not just cricket related things.
Just keep looking at the camera at all times.
Looking at me.
Look at you.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
All right?
Yeah.
It's kind of through the camera, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so obviously 25 guys out here. I think probably only 7 of them have played off the top of my head. Obviously the guys from the north who we haven't seen, obviously Matt and Brad may have seen them in the pathway stuff and the north stuff, so it's good to see them and see how they can obviously get into the team moving forward. And it's the opportunity to see the new guys really of what skill sets they have, what they are as individuals and personalities, and how they may fit in moving forward. And obviously the competition element then is we have 7 or 8 guys away who've played a lot of cricket for us last year, so it's almost seeing the guys who've been away in the winter who are here, seeing the north guys, and then putting a wider picture together really of, okay, we've got 9 batsmen fighting for 2 spots potentially, we've got 7 bowlers who do something similar, so it's actually seeing them as a first off, okay, yes, he's good enough, or maybe he's not good enough quite yet. I think going forward it's going to be, ideally, you have the same team for majority of the cricket, but that very rarely happens. So having the options of, again, the 6 seamers potentially who could all fight for 2 spots. It's almost seeing them outside early season and then see if they can carry that on. I think it's going to be challenging in the season. There's a lot more players now have put their name in the hat. So when we go and discuss the teams, and probably even if you think, okay, what's the first one-day team going to be in June, it's going to be difficult to actually pencil in 11, 12, 13 players who might be involved in the squad. So that's probably, again, it's a positive. On the flip side of it's going to be challenging, but it's a good challenge to have. And I think it's just the amount of how the lads feel comfortable. I think that's the main thing. The takeaway for me is whoever comes in now is going to feel comfortable to do what they want and how they perform in the team, and being able then to feel like they can do what they do to their best of their ability to benefit the team.
Yeah, well, I think we've spoken mate about basically guys that have trained really well over the winter, and in terms of those guys being here, hence it being a Red Bull tour. I think you look at the current group of players, if we put our best team out, most of those guys in that 12, 13 would be involved in Red Bull. If we were going our best team, which I think is what our plan is, definitely what I want to do, because I think it'll build a bit of clarity for them. I would go Harry, Marshy and Meadows as my top 3.
Order's important as well as team, just in terms of trying to match the role of what lads are likely to do. So yeah, I think that's itself, doesn't it?
To come in and he looks good.
Yeah, he looks like a Red Bull batter.
Yeah, so he almost like the guys who have played last year. Potentially need to see him bat with our boys to see if he's
You
jumped
liked him
ahead.
this morning. You liked him this morning.
Yeah, I was impressed with him.
For me, he's a good one to have a look at and go, actually, we know you're a good player, but for you now, show us, go and get some runs under your belt.
Definitely.
I think we've learned, I think over the winter we've learned a lot about Milo. I think we've quite quickly, and obviously this morning specifically as red ball focus, Milo will play that way if it's T20, one day cricket, red ball, which is fine because he's dangerous and he shows capabilities of what he can do, hence the Dorset game. My concern with him is the nets this winter, he hasn't been a standout batter. Whereas the one game we've seen him, he was standout. And we forget the second innings where he got 46 off 60 balls and actually played differently to how he did in the first innings. So in my
in the bank there, isn't there?
yeah, I think my experience of seeing him is in game time he looks good.
He almost switches on
Training
then,
is
isn't
a bit different. So it'll be interesting to see him in that role tomorrow. If he comes in, whether he goes swing, trying to hit, or whether he actually knuckles down and goes, I need to get a score.
Yeah, I think he's one of them characters. There's people around him. He tries to play for it, and then it's not actually in the game. We've seen twice that he looks like he's got 120 runs, which is potentially more than some of the batters we've picked have got in 5 innings.
Yeah. I think Marshy is very underrated.
Yeah.
I think because he opens the batting, we see Marshy as an opening batter, but his bowling is actually just as accurate.
I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lands it like the 30 overs he bowled at Dorset last year. He went for 90 or 80
Yeah.
runs. Like he can bowl that. It would be quite good if we had, say, Jack Harding bowl 5 overs early on and Joe bowl 5 overs, just so our batters are facing a bit of left arm. That difference, because you've got Azim, Jude, and Owen, all right arm seamers. But if you chucked in Jack and
As in they bowl against both teams.
so 5
I
overs
think
in the
because
morning.
those two are the ones that
Yeah.
I'm probably still. That's why I'm really interested in tomorrow, because I still think Jack's got some credit in the bank from last year, but Joe's flipping.
Well, he's gone
been
from
very
January.
impressive this winter.
Yeah, he's been the standout seamer, I think.
So
this winter.
tomorrow is really probably the most interesting matchup I want to see in terms of how Jack goes against. I think Jack bowling against our better batters
Yeah.
will
think Joe
tell
as
us
well
a fair
in
bit
Joe
will.
alongside Joe.
And then you've got Harrison at 3, who's really a little bit unlucky not to be in that team 1, I think, as potentially you could swap Milo into team 2 and have Harrison in. But I think giving Harrison a bit of responsibility, right, you're the captain. I would give him.
As you say, he knows some of the North boys and probably how best to deploy them a little bit.
Yeah,
which is not
and I
the
just think
worst
he'll
thing.
see that. Hopefully he sees that as, right, I'm going to show you guys I'm good enough. And then when I talked this morning about someone getting a big score, he for me is the one that I would highlight as he's capable of playing this level, because he did well last year when he played or showed glimpses.
Didn't look out of place to really.
I think that slot going forward, not even tomorrow, but that slot at 5 is going to be between maybe 4 players.
Yeah.
You look at Steph, checking Steph in, and that's going to be. There's a long time to actually have to pick a team, but
Yeah. So that's swingers at 9, and then that is effectively Joe and Jack 10 and 11 in team 1. Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
I think the key thing is when we have our chats tomorrow, team 1, you're here, team 2 are there, because I want it to be competitive. What I don't want is everyone's together and then they come off and they're having banter with each other. I actually want it. No, you're trying to get his spot.
Do you want to take team 1? You usually take team 1, and almost we'll take team 2 for pretty much rep. And I might say to our boys when we get there, right, we're over there.
Yeah,
let's go.
I'm really happy to
tonight anyway. Can't we say, okay, well, when we get there, team 1 is going to be where we fielded today, and team 2 is going to be the other side.
Correct.
Or if you're bowling, the batting teams in the nets, and then you do a bit of fielding, whatever. Yeah, if you want to make it competitive, like you said, them guys in the other team, you need to push the other guys out.
Yeah.
And the teams in team 1, you have to score runs, otherwise the guys who bat in bowl in team 2.
Cool. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Happy days.
should be good.
Yeah, should be good.
Nice one.
Cheering.
Cheers, gents.
Alright lads, obviously this is our first sort of practice game outside. I want it to be quite serious, I want it to be intense. Like, I want us to play how we're going to play when we play 3-day cricket. those guys haven't got your place at the moment, otherwise they'd be in this team. So I want the intensity to be high, and I didn't mind yesterday the banter and the team camaraderie and all that stuff, but the next 2 days when we're playing, it's us versus them. I want them to field 80 overs today. I want us to bat for as long as we can, keep them out there, and then I expect in that last session when we're fielding for 20 overs, I expect us to have them 4 or 5 down.
My name's Tegan Phillips and I'm an off-spinner and all-rounder. So last 2-3 years I've been probably the majority of my cricket played with Wales and at university. I was with Glamorgan for 1 year, then I got released, but then after that, yeah, mainly with Cardiff UCC and with Wales.
And just describe that culture to me, like what is that for someone that hasn't experienced?
Well, I mean, first of all, what will initially hit you is how much of a mock they take. So you don't really want to take anything they say too seriously at first, but in terms of, on a serious note, how they've implemented this sort of culture where we're trying to make it as professional as we can. And I think we're on our way. I say we're probably not quite maybe completely there yet, but like in terms of the trajectory we're on and getting to that position where it actually feels like you walk in on a Sunday morning, you come to training, and it feels like I'm walking into a professional environment. That's the sort of environment that they've created, and it's also balanced with this side of really good fun, and it feels like you're there with your mates, and actually it's not too serious, but on the cricket side of things it is. So I think they've struck a balance really well there, and to sort of have those as your leaders where they will take the mick out of anyone, and everyone, I guess, just has to take it. And some lads will give it back as well, which is good fun. But yeah, to sort of have them as your leaders, and you know it's going to be a real fun environment to be a part of. And then the cricket is just echoes that. It is really fun to play. When we're on the field, we have a great laugh. But at the same time, we're here to win, and we're here to sort of basically show what we're about. It's a really good setup to be a part of. It's, for me, probably sort of the highest level of cricket that I can play, probably alongside my university stuff. So I think what this badge sort of represents, and being able to like turn up and represent your country, it's quite a special thing. And a lot of the other minor counties, it's just I know it's still a really privileged experience for them as well, but it's just like their little county that obviously they've been born and raised in. But for me, being born and bred in Cardiff and being a Welsh lad, I think being able to play for Wales is such a special experience, and every time I play I really enjoy it, and I really want to carry on playing for as long as I can, make sure I do everything I can to sort of stay in this team for as long as I can.
So I'm Harrison from the north, top order batsman, now pushing 30, always wanting to be in the sort of best environment for my cricket, because I think you can never stop working on your game. I've always tried to be serious about my cricket and play to the best standard I can, even if that's just with your self-practice and, you know, the way you want to push your game. So yeah, just get the most out of it that I can, surrounded by the sort of the best quality players in Wales. That just only drags you up to sort of try the same and do the same, and the different skill sets, unbelievable. The knowledge for such young lads is really brilliant. Ultimately, you can't not play for your country. Any time that, you know, Wales or your national county calls, you can't say no to it, really, especially if you're an inspiring cricketer. It sort of tops off all the hard work you put in place, and it's almost, there are people watching, and you will get your opportunity if you work hard enough. So obviously from the north, and the lads that have come away with the north, they're going to have you know, they're going to have good careers ahead of them, but ultimately it'll put them in good stead from the start of the season, and I'm sure they're going to kick on now. From coast to coast, north to south, the middle of Wales, the west, the east, it's a big old country, and there's lots of talent, and it's just brilliant to be a part of.
We're on top, I think. Yeah, the wicket's a bit, I'm not quite sure, they're still drying out a bit, and the other hand are not quite there to drive, so things put the pressure on. Fielding position is just more attacking, yeah, make them look to more square, think about it a bit, so yeah, let's keep going.
Look, I think we are the only one, if not, there might be one other county, national county, that's not won anything in, you know, since the entire minor county, the old minor counties, and now the national counties has been in fruition. So, you know, that's something we want to change.
For me, it's about creating that longevity for Wales national counties to be a real force.
Stop smiling at the camera. How good is that?